Hi guys, it's Jodie here from ODE. Love Island All-Stars might be over, but fear not, because our post-villa chats with the Islanders are not. And today I've pulled the Islander with quite arguably the best head of hair. It's Chris
Thank
Taylor.
you very much. How very kind of you to say.
Your hair's amazing.
Thank you.
No one talks about it enough, and it's like incredible.
It's quite in your face, isn't it?
But that's what we like.
Do you know how I do it?
No, tell me.
Muscle memory. It's a real thing.
But there's a lot of it as well.
Yeah, it's Gerther.
I'm obsessed. Listen, you're back. What a tan you've got.
Thank you.
You're fresh from South Africa. How are you feeling?
I feel quite confused. It's quite a lot to go from being with so many boys, because all the boys were together for like the last week non-stop, and a lot of the time we didn't have our phones on us as well, so we were all just having to interact constantly. To like going from being with like 7 absolute nutters to just being at home watching Queer Eye again. It's quite the change of pace.
Let's talk about your journey in the villa. I feel like it was a roller coaster.
Do we have to use that word? I absolutely hate that word.
Sorry, I'm just giving you the ick.
It got battered. It got absolutely battered this year as well.
What else do you call it then?
Pilgrimage. That's what we'll call it.
Your pilgrimage.
Trek. Walk to
trek.
Mordor to throw the ring in the volcano.
Right, so you get the call asking you to go on Love Island All-Stars. What were your initial thoughts?
I said no.
Did you?
A lot. Yeah.
Why?
I didn't want to do it. Various things, like obviously I've just done some acting stuff. I wanted to do more of that, and I thought, like, if I go in there, and am I going to be deemed as a reality star forever? Personally, I don't really think I am a reality star. I don't really think like I'm similar to a lot of the people in there, not in like a big-headed way or anything. I'm just a bit different. And I thought if I were going to do that, it might hurt my chances of getting like actual genuine acting roles. So I had a meeting with ITV, and they were like, "Listen, you should reconsider it." And then eventually they talked me into it. So I was like, "Yeah, God, all right, if I have to." But I'm very glad I did it. I really enjoyed it.
Single, another chance at love, free holiday.
Yeah, bit of that. Yeah, to be fair, I'm 33, so I do actually want to settle down, and I think it's like a really interesting environment to meet people. Like I genuinely do, because you can go from like just meeting someone to being like deep in a week, and in real life where you got phones and everyone's got their normal lives and activities they do and all that kind of stuff, that to get like a week down in the villa would probably take you about 3 months in real life. That's an exaggeration, maybe about a month. So it's really interesting like that, I think.
And I think people kind of can judge it and be like, oh, going on Love Island again. But then, like, in the real world, everyone's really busy and there's no time for it. Whereas when you're there, you're just focusing on trying to find someone,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, you haven't got your phone. You ain't got any like work stuff to worry about. You ain't getting distracted. You can actually just get to know people. That's why it moves so quick. And obviously it's 24 hours. So yeah, went in to find love. Again, wasn't successful, but what are you going to do about that? We move.
Yeah, exactly. But when you went in, you were so popular. Your milkshake was bringing all the girls to the yard.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Did it go out a date? What
people
went on?
keep asking me that. People keep going, where did it all go wrong? I'm like, I don't think it went wrong in my eyes. Like, obviously, like, psychologically, when like girls make it obvious that they like you, that I don't really like that.
Do you know?
No. And I think like I've had a lot of therapy. And like
I love how honest you are. I love it.
I've had it like 4 years of therapy, and I know like why I do it, but I can't deny that is just part of who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like if a girl shows me that she likes me too quick, I'm like, really? And you'll find most men are like that as well. Like it scares them off, innit? If you go in too hard, have you ever been on a date where you've gone in too hard and the boy's like, whoa, chill out.
Listen, I'm saying nothing on camera.
Right, fine, okay. Well, if I'm spilling tea, you've got to spill tea about your life as well.
My tea is far too hot for this.
Wow, okay. Piping hot tea. So, yeah, it was nice to get girls queued up next to me.
Literally was a queue.
There was a queue, yeah. I try not to use that word because it sounds a bit arrogant, but there was a queue. And, yeah, I like them all as people. I get on with them really well, but I just didn't fancy any of them. And obviously me and Kaz got really close. I think she got it. She stood next to me. Me and Georgia Harrison are very good mates. We get on really well. And Hannah, same as well. But like there was just no like chemistry sexually there, I don't think. I don't know what it was. Like I don't really get involved in the scene.
Yeah.
I'm not really that. I don't go to events or anything like that.
Right.
So maybe it's because I was like unknown. I don't know.
But also, you're really fit as well. Like, no, but there is that. I do think, like, you are really good looking.
You're such a flirt.
You don't think that you're fit, but obviously the girls thought that. But that took you by surprise?
No, it did. It took my breath away. It gave me a centre part in. I didn't really know what was going on. I genuinely thought, like, this is a joke. Why are they doing this? That's not been my lived experience for the majority of my life, by the way. I've got a lot of very fit mates. Maybe that's why. I've got a lot of very funny mates. And I don't know. The last time I was on Love Island, I just got pied 5 times. Like pie after pie. I was dripping in cream.
But Demi, I feel like there could have been something there, but it never transpired. No,
there definitely could have been, but obviously I decided to try and snog Molly for some bizarre reason.
We forget about that moment, but literally that was the whole looking into the eyes thing. That was quite smooth. Chris.
I don't know. Well, I've had mixed reviews on it. My family told me it was cringy AF.
I don't think so.
But do you know what happened, right? So I was like, obviously, when you kiss somebody on TV, you kind of want to let them know that you're going to do it, but not make it too obvious because you don't want it. You want to set it up a little bit because you don't want to get the pie right. Because that's way worse on TV. You've got to think about it. But there's millions of people watching. It's very embarrassing if they pie you. So you kind of have to come up with a way of doing it that's maybe a little bit cringy, but also smooth. And I thought, right, so we was doing a lot of facts, me and Molly, because we both like facts. So I said the thing about looking into her eyes for 2 minutes. It's actually only 8.2 seconds for men. It's 2 minutes for women. Obviously, they need longer. So I'm sat there just staring at her, thinking, yeah, you're going to have to do this in a minute, mate. And I just kept getting really in my head about it. I was like, no, mate, it's literally been like a minute and 30 seconds and you're still just staring at her like a weirdo.
And you did that without laughing?
Well, there was a little bit of like trying not to laugh at that. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to have to do this. So I just went, I'm going to kiss you now. Which is the one thing that I didn't want to do because I don't like the idea of asking for a kiss because it's just weird, isn't it? Like some people do it on the show. Like, oh, can I have a kiss? And you're sat at home like,
I know what you mean.
Why have you just asked for a kiss? But you've got to in a way because otherwise you get the pie and it's horrendous. So
I might be getting the order wrong here, but then we're going to move on to Arabella. I think was this the next couple. Was it Sophie before? Who have I missed?
Molly.
Sorry, there was that many women for you.
Stop it.
After Molly, where did we go?
It was Sophie, I think.
Sophie.
Yeah.
And then was that one you kind of ended up in a triangle?
Yeah, I was in a nice little triangle.
That's fun, isn't it?
It's not. It's the thing that I think that Meatloaf wouldn't do for love.
Yeah. It's too much. Things were going well with you and Sophie, though. I think if Josh hadn't came into the triangle, it could have...
Well, Josh started off with Sophie, and I think I tried to interrupt it. And they ended up in a couple together, as voted by the public. So I think part of them is thinking, oh, the public wants this type thing, so let's stick with that. But, yeah, you can't underestimate the time in bed when you're in a couple. That's so important.
Really?
Yeah, because you can just chat. You can literally just, sit there and chat for hours and get to know each other when no one else is really listening. Obviously, if you can whisper. Which I can't. But yeah, I think that's what kind of ruined that. They were getting closer and very cuddly and touchy. And I was just, Steve on the outside.
Steve. And then was it Arabella?
Then it was Arabella.
Yeah. That seemed to be going well. You seemed like a good match, and then it was all good until it wasn't. What happened there?
Yeah, it was a strange one. So basically, I'd had a very frank discussion with Arabella where I said, listen, absolute transparency, I'm going to tell you everything that I'm doing. I'm still open to get to know other girls. We had that chat, and then obviously Sophie came in, and we went for a chat, and I think she put her hand out to hold my hand. So I was like, all right, I'll hold your hand. And then stupidly held her hand, walked past Arabella. That's upset her, right?
Yeah.
But what you didn't see was Sophie wanted to sit on the sunbeds that were right next to Arabella, and I was like, no, we're not doing that because that's right in front of her. So I messed up a little bit there, but then I also tried to make sure that I wasn't doing it in her face type thing. We had that chat, that was fine. And then next thing I know, the boys are telling me that she's called me disingenuous. So this was just after I'd been on a date with Arabella, and I'd got really open and vulnerable about who I am, why I am the way I am, and all that kind of stuff that I don't really like talking about with people that I've just met.
Yeah.
But we got into that conversation, and then she called me disingenuous. So in my mind, I'm just somebody, I'm a bit older, I know what my boundaries are, and if somebody hits a boundary or hits a red flag for me, I just cut it off because I'm not there to relearn lessons that I've spent most of my life learning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of went down. And then, we had a discussion. I said, listen, I was at fault for the hand-holding thing. I apologise for that. And then I brought up the disingenuous thing. I was like, I don't understand how you can say that I'm disingenuous when actually I've been very generous to you on the date and opened up, wore my heart on my sleeve about who I am and why I am the way I am and all that kind of stuff. And basically, I don't know how it's been shown because of what I've heard, but she was trying to shout, and I don't really like having conversations where the other person's trying to make it an argument. So I just kind of said to her, look, can we keep it to a conversation? I can't remember whether I said it like that or whether I said, you know, can we dial this back or something like that? But all I was saying was, let's have a conversation instead of shouting at each other, because no one's going to understand what the other person's trying to get at unless we talk about it like calm adults type thing. And I'm led to believe it's come out a lot worse than that on TV, and people have called me certain things, but actually I was just trying to keep it calm and keep it to an adult conversation. And yeah, I think she just wanted an argument, which is fine. Like,
why did you say disingenuous? So that's quite a specific thing to say. And also, I think if someone was to question like your realness, that's something that would get to me as well.
Yeah, no, that's when there's something, there's a character trait that you identify as part of your personality and somebody challenges that, you're going to get upset. So that's why I got upset about that, because I am the opposite of disingenuous. I was genuinely in there to find somebody, but she called me that after I held somebody's hand. So in my head, I'm like, wow, like, that's hurt you a little bit, which is fair. I'm not invalidating your feelings. You're allowed to be hurt by that. But to react with such a jugular comment, as in like, oh, you're disingenuous because I held someone's hand, I was like, that's like, I've actually opened up to you on a date and you just turn around and like thrown it back in my face. So how can I be disingenuous? It just made no sense.
It's just that word, isn't it? It's that particular thing that would stick with me as well.
Yeah, it was the contradiction of it and the fact that like I was genuinely in there for finding love.
And do you think after that comment, then that's when it just was like frosty and there was just no...
For me, there's just no going back from that, because it's a red flag. Like, as I said before, like, I've spent 33 years figuring out what I will and won't accept in relationships and stuff like that, friendships as well. And I am just cutthroat with it. Like, that's all it boils down to. If someone hits a red flag or something, a boundary of mine, I will just be like, right, I'm out.
Yeah.
As quick as that. Because what's the point in me carrying on and going down a path and discovering, oh, there's more red flags here, here, and here? So I just knew in that moment that she wasn't right for me.
Then Joanna came in.
Yeah.
And it was love at first sight. No, I'm joking. But you really, really liked her, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I have for a while.
Right, so you had your eye on her before.
Yeah, so basically before you go in, they ask you to write down like who you want to come into the villa.
Interesting.
And I was with my chaperone, and it got to the stage where he was like, are you going to write down anyone but Joanna? I was like, no, not really. I'm all right with that. I've just get her in there. And obviously, like, she came in later down the line, and she said to me that, like, from her side, she wanted me, like, to speak to me in there type thing. So it was quite, like, even in that sense, which was quite exciting.
But then, talking about sad days, let's talk about that Game of Truths. Oh, that was awful.
It was so much worse than it looked as well, you know, because I think there was 12 of us in there at that stage. Might have been 14, can't remember. But every person, there was a round for every person. So there was either 12 or 14 rounds, and pretty much every single one said me and Joanna on it. So it was so intense. The first one was fine because everyone voted for us, and me and Joanna voted for ourselves. I don't know if they showed that. And then we kind of like did it in third person as if we weren't talking about ourselves type thing. So it's fun at the beginning. The first round was fun, but after that, it was just horrendous. It was just like a bombardment, constant bombardment of, just everybody copping out, basically. We were in the worst position because of what Joanna was doing in terms of like talking to Callum. So everyone just like scapegoated us and was like, oh, this is the easy answer. This is the easy answer every single time. Even with things that didn't make sense, like with like sexual chemistry and stuff like that.
And that's one you just don't want. Like, that's not something you want to hear. But was it hard when, obviously, you're taking all these hits and then people are saying, oh, stop reacting, it's not a big deal? Was that difficult?
Yeah, a little bit, because it's like if they were in my shoes,
you're valid to have feelings about it.
If they were in my Birkenstocks, they'd be quite
Heelys?
in my Heelys. They'd be quite furious about it themselves. But it's obviously everyone else is trying to be like, oh yeah, it's not that big a deal. It's not that deep. Yeah, but it is when you've been getting it for 12 rounds straight. And also the worst thing was, like, I knew that it wasn't even about me. It was mostly about Joanna, because Joanna was making the moves. So like, I just felt awful for her, because it was like everybody ganging up on her, which is why I like stuck up for her type thing.
And Anton was quite fiery in that as well. And then there was a moment where Casey kind of turned to like, I don't know how it looks, maybe it's the edit, but it kind of looked as if to say like, stop reacting. Like,
yeah,
no, like we were getting on
the edit made it look really strange because we were actually having a Barney.
Okay.
Like, we're having a full blown Barney. They came in and they gave us our second drink and they were like, we can't continue filming until you drank it. So everyone had to like back it, right? And then everyone just got like quite drunk quite quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you've got like, what's the word?
You become a lightweight, I guess.
You become a massive lightweight when you're only having 2 drinks a night. Yeah. So yeah, we was having a bit of a Barney because I think Casey had said something to Joanna, and I was just like, that makes absolutely no sense, mate. That was a stupid thing to say in a slightly raised voice. And yeah, and then Anton said, oh, you're piping up a lot today. But I don't know. It was more heated than it looked.
Yeah.
Because it just made it look like I was really calm. But I was after. But like in the moment there was a back and forth about it. But like we were getting ganged up on. Like, what do you expect me to do? Sit down and shut up? Absolutely not. Particularly when actually all they're really doing is picking on Joanna. So like obviously I'm gonna say something.
And then she was getting upset and
she cried. She never cries. She's not like a cry type girl. And she like actually broke down in tears and had to walk off. And that was like round 9. So we had like 3 rounds left after that. So I had to say to her, listen, like, we're just not paying attention to it now. We're going to thank people for their feedback. We're not going to make comment. We're going to move on. And then we did that for the last 3 rounds. And again, it was just us every single time.
It was bad though. It was really brutal. It was like hard to watch. I think like it looked terrible.
It's hard to experience.
Yeah, 100%. And then the decision that was made to send Joanna and Joe home. What do you think about that? What's your thoughts?
Well, it did annoy me because I think what they hadn't factored into this season was that there's a lot of best mates from the outside. So if you think about who was doing the voting and who was getting voted, like the twins were covered by Sophie, Casey was covered by Tom. I think Arabella was covered by Molly. So that only kind of left me, Joanna, Joe, and Arabella in the firing line. And obviously, like they decided they couldn't pick from the same couple, and it had to be girl boy, so they picked Joanna and Joe. Joe, bless him, had only been in there for 2 days, which was ridiculous. Like, he definitely deserved more of a chance. I don't know. I felt like they were voting based on their friendships as opposed to the whole reason why we're in there, which is who is doing the most to find love and then exit with somebody that they can be with. It didn't feel like that. It just felt like people were like going, oh, yeah, you're my best mate on the outside, so I've got your back. But, like, obviously it would have been tough for them to explain that to that person. Yeah. But I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't right the way that it was being voted for, which is what upset me. And they kind of kept me, but then left Joanna. And it's like, guys, what do you expect me to do now? There's 9 days left. So I was just like, I didn't want to be ungrateful about it. Like, I enjoyed being there, but like when your love interest is gone, it's like, what do you want me to do? And
then you were automatically coupled back up with Arabella. Let's talk about that moment because you were just like, great.
Yeah. And that was really rude, and I was quite disappointed in myself for actually reacting that way. But it was more because Joanna had gone than I was being coupled up with Arabella. But also for me, like, the Arabella thing was just like, it was all water under the bridge, but it was also dead in the water. So it was dead in the water under the bridge at that point. So I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah. So
because I think people had thought that maybe it could have been a bit nicer.
No, I definitely could have been nicer to her. Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I was quite disappointed in the way I reacted to it, but it was just pure raw emotion. Yeah. The day, like, bearing in mind the context of the game and Joanna going, I was just emotionally drained. I had nothing left to give. I had no words. I wasn't thinking. It was like 6 a.m. I was absolutely shafted. And it just came out. And as soon as I said it, I was like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Because actually that was really unfair to her, and I do apologise for it. I don't know if I did apologise for it, but if I seen it now, I would apologise for it.
Yeah. And then after that, were you just like, I'm over this now, I just want to go home?
Yeah, no, proper. I was emotionally just drained, had like nothing left. I didn't see the point in being there. Was actually taken out the villa, spoke to like the execs and stuff like that. And they were kind of saying, listen, go back in there, try and be friends to people and support people and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, guys, what? Like, this is Love Island. Like, there's 9 days left. Like, there's absolutely no point me being there. And I think because of the way that I spoke about it, like that's how everything kind of lined up that night.
Well, talking about Joanna then, I know yous have been doing some press and stuff together. Yous obviously went back into the villa again for that twist, and we had the final. Yous were there.
Yeah.
You spent more time with her. There's been talk of Valentine's flowers being sent to her. Spill the tea. What's going on, Chris?
That is a vicious rumour. That is absolutely true. So, yeah, like, obviously, I got my phone back. We spoke. I wasn't having the best time when I got my phone back because of the way things had been shown with certain conversations in there. And bless her, she looked after me like I was on FaceTime to her for like 3 hours, just basically just like chatting to her and watching her pack her suitcase to come back with her sister as well. And then, yeah, we was whenever we had our phones, we was talking quite a lot. And yeah, my mum texted me saying it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. And my mum's very strategic with things like that because I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
So basically my mum was saying, send Joanna flowers.
Oh.
But like, I just thought, yeah, I'm gonna send her some flowers. So it was quite hard because I didn't know like where she was going to be staying and all that kind of stuff. Because like logistics was quite difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did do that and then wrote her a note and yeah. So that was that.
That's actually so sweet.
Yeah, and then I'm quite cute like that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we was chatting, FaceTiming, all that kind of stuff whenever we had our phones. Obviously did press yesterday and then went for lunch afterwards. So
went for lunch. How did that go?
Very nice. That was the first time we've like actually genuinely spent time on our own.
Yeah.
Because the only time on our own really was in bed in the villa, and we'd like sit up like chatting for ages type thing. But like it's still a lot of people around, cameras on you. You know, like genuine. When you come out, there's like you can actually have genuine chats where you're not being watched.
So is it just an on-camera romance, or do we think it might go somewhere?
Well, like I say, too soon to tell.
Yeah.
Don't know. We've got to spend more time together on our own without cameras in our faces or people staring at us. So, I don't know. I think we're both up for trying and seeing.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate the fact that you were in the Barbie movie? I still can't believe this.
Yeah, nor can I, to be honest.
Like, iconic.
I thought that was a prank as well.
That was a cultural phenomenon. You went to an after party with Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
How did all of this happen, Chris?
Basically, I went to an after party with Margot Robbie. Then we went to the after party with her, which was back at her hotel, but it was massive and there was loads of people there. I end up outside with her, having a breath of fresh air. And yeah, she's like, it's kind of like me and her, and there's a bigger group of people, but it's kind of like me and her one-on-one. So I had like a massive panic attack, and basically just started talking about my mate who's got a micro penis. Started discussing that, and also my dad's best mate who's got a really big ball sack, and he can carry 12 bottles of beer on his ball sack.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we started having that chat. She seemed to enjoy it. I don't know whether that had any effect on why I got in the Barbie film, but I feel like I might have made like an impression, albeit a weird one. I still made an impression. And yeah, about 18 months later, I got an email from Warner Brothers saying, do you want to do a self-tape for this role? And I said, yes, I do. And I still thought I thought the whole thing was bad. I just thought like this is going to end up on the internet somewhere.
Yeah.
Taking the mick out of me. But no, it didn't.
There was quite a lot of big names that get cut from the Barbie movie. You managed to make it in. For anyone that's not seen the Barbie movie, frankly, where have you been? But tell us about your role in the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I basically announced that Ryan Gosling has won a Nobel Prize for horses, which made no sense until you watch the film.
Yes.
So I was just saying this line, I had no context of it. But yeah, I seen Margot at the red pink carpet, and she come over to me, give me a hug and that, and she was like, "Oh, so many people have been cut from this and you're still in it." And she was quite buzzing about that.
Olivia Colman was cut from the Barbie movie.
Really?
Chris Taylor was kept in.
Wow. She's got awards.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, it still feels like a cheese dream now, to be honest.
Do you think it's because Margot's a massive fan of Love Island? Did she talk to you about Love Island?
We were at the after party, yeah, we was talking about Love Island. Her and her mates had a lot of questions about it.
I love that.
Yeah, they were really interested in how it all works.
Are you in touch with her?
I haven't got her number. Could you imagine if she gave me her number?
No.
Yeah,
That'd be
I haven't. I haven't got any contact with her at all.
And can I just say, I love your personality.
Oh, thank you.
I think
not find it annoying.
No, I don't find it annoying at all. I absolutely love it.
Thanks.
How has it been coming out to the edits and stuff like that? Because obviously you've done it before. You're coming out a second time.
Yeah.
Do you pay attention to any of that, or do you just try and shut it out to protect yourself?
Well, it's hard not to pay attention to it because people will tell you online.
Yeah.
And it's quite confusing because you're like, hold on a minute, I know it didn't go down like that, but it must have been shown like that. And Mitch said to me, Mitch actually said to me when before we went into the live thing in the few days we were together, he goes, mate, I watched that conversation with Arabella live. And you did so well. You were so calm and fair and all that kind of stuff. And then I watched it on TV and I was like, he's a dickhead. And then he was like, Mitch said he had to remember that he'd seen the conversation live and how it went. So obviously people need to understand that like it was cut in a certain way. The whole thing was very calm. And I wasn't trying to, wasn't trying to invalidate her feelings or anything like that. But it's just the way that it got cut together. So I suppose coming out and hearing stuff like that is a little bit disheartening because it's like I'm not that guy, and I was really upset for like a couple of days, where I was like, hold on, so there's literally a version of me out there now that everyone thinks exists that doesn't, because I would never do that. Like it was never meant to come across like that, but obviously when things are cut out and put together in a certain way, it can look like that. So I don't blame people for thinking that. But then at the end of the day, like I can't really spend my life caring about all that kind of stuff because I won't get anything done and I'll just be sad. So I've moved on from it. But yeah, there was a point where I was a bit like, this is crap. This is really crap. Because I'm not that person. And for someone to tell you that you are that person when you're not is quite unfair.
Yeah. And I find you very funny. I like your humour. It makes me laugh.
Sweet.
Keep being you. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been a
You're
pleasure.
so bloody welcome.